Another successful democratic transition opens a new chapter in the history of Nigeria. A flame is lit. A rekindled desire sets in motion for Africa's largest economy. A new sheriff in town, new spirit, new aspiration for greater heights. An improved economy is at the core of a new administration's agenda. Soon enough, the administration began its house cleaning with policies and programs to redirect the country's economy toward greater prosperity and to consolidate its status on the continent and on the globe. The giant of Africa, with a new helmsman, realizes the need to reconnect with the world.
Don't be frantic about investment in Nigeria.
Mr. President is going to talk to investors across the globe who are gathered in Paris, and they have invited him.
3 weeks into his administration, the new Nigerian president was set to make his first appearance on the global stage. It was at the new Global Financial Pact Summit in France. Countries of the world converged on Paris to appraise efforts in addressing the repercussions of a multiple climate, energy, health and economic crisis, particularly in the most vulnerable countries. At the 2-day summit, President Bola Tinubu had the first opportunity to renew Nigeria's stand in line with the global commitment towards the attainment of a 2030 climate change agenda. He also projected his advocacy for economic justice for Africa as the world intensifies efforts on energy transition, while reiterating the need for urgency in addressing the present issues of poverty and climate change. And then there was the second international trip, but significantly the first within the continent. The 63rd Summit of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Governments in Guinea-Bissau provided the platform for the Nigerian leader to re-exert Nigeria's position within the West African sub-region. But apparently, he had no idea of the greater responsibility in the offing for him. On his first appearance within this space, President Tinubu was summarily elected chairman of the ECOWAS Heads of State and Governments. And so, in addition to his primary national duties, another feather was added to his cap, one which comes with the added responsibilities of sustaining the momentum for regional integration, peace and stability. Quite notable was the fact that President Tinubu emerged as chairman of the Council of ECOWAS Heads of State and Governments at the time that the leaders were seeking to address pressing issues affecting the sub-region, such as the political instability in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea.
Let me first and foremost commit myself to the principle and rule of law.
In steering the ship and giving directions of the ECOWAS body, the new ECOWAS chairman, amongst other issues, reaffirmed his commitment to supporting peace and democracy in the region. At this time, it was clear the added leadership role translated to more responsibility for President Tinubu as the double-capped Nigerian leader visited Nairobi to represent ECOWAS at the 5th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union (AU), the regional economic communities, the regional mechanisms, and the African Union member states. Under the AU theme of the year 2023, Acceleration of African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation, the meeting was focused on emphasizing actions related to trade, free movement of persons, investment promotion, infrastructure development, peace, security, and stability. As the chairperson of ECOWAS, the Nigerian leader presented a report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlighting actions carried out during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, member states, the private sector, and other stakeholders to deepen integration.
Because of the fact that he is giving it direct presidential attention, and because of the fact that he is a businessman himself, and because of the fact that internationally he is recognized for having revolutionized the economy of Lagos State to the extent that it is a top 5 economy in the African continent as a subnational government, there's a recognition on the part of our partners and international investors that they're dealing with somebody who walks the talk.
President Tinubu's initial passion and enthusiasm quickly escalated into a widespread and visible movement, gaining significant attention. This was even as news of his transformative leadership style, policy, and corporate governance re-engineering to reposition Nigeria as an investment destination continued to pervade the world. India, a country ranked the 5th largest economy in the world, was among the first to officially extend an invitation to Nigeria. This came from the country's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who apparently saw a glimpse of a fulfilling partnership with Nigeria. And so, it was time to cement this relationship and take it even a step further. The invitation also came with a request for President Bola Tinubu to attend the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi. This was a rare consideration for a non-member of a body of top economies in the world. President Tinubu was the new, yet familiar face on the block. A special guest, he joins this league of leaders who call the shots globally. The group was to reinforce the search for solutions to the long-standing challenges of development, economic resilience, financial stability, food and energy security, among others. The special guest would lend his voice to the campaign as he suggests stronger collaboration, cooperation, and partnerships among diverse regions as a pathway to a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future for the world. Expressing the willingness of Nigeria to contribute to the solution drive, President Tinubu registered his belief that oneness must be truly demonstrated in the character of a group. The president would later, on the sidelines of a meeting, enter into bilateral talks with leaders from Germany, Egypt, Netherlands, and Korea, among others. On the return leg of a journey back home from India, President Tinubu made a stopover in the United Arab Emirates (UAE). The president got a warm reception from President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates and discussed some specific salient issues within the Nigeria-UAE bilateral relationship needing urgent attention. The issues included the Emirates' blanket visa ban decision on some countries, Nigeria inclusive. The other major issue was the subsequent suspension of Emirates and Etihad airline flights to Nigeria in November 2022 over unremitted flight funds.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor of welcoming His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The president soon after found himself on yet another big stage. as big and global as it could ever get, the 78th United Nations General Assembly in New York.
And I invite him to take the floor.
It was the first appearance for President Bola Tinubu at the United Nations General Assembly, and it could not have come at a more critical time. The global community at the time was in the center of finding lasting solutions to common challenges facing the world. President Tinubu's voice in highlighting an African-based solution to the global issues of climate change, terror financing, illicit arms smuggling, and the lives would be assertive as it was effective.
For several decades, Africa has been asking for the same level of political commitment and devotion of resource that described the Marshall Plan. We are not asking for identical programs and actions. What we seek is an equal, firm commitment to partnership.
Having shown commitment to the global cause, it was time to focus on its primary assignments. President Tinubu saw another opportunity to advance Nigeria's readiness to strengthen economic ties with countries and global agencies. President Tinubu visited the headquarters of a global body, the United Nations, for a frank talk on what he perceived as injustice to African nations. The position of ECOWAS, which the President leads as chairperson, is that African nations will no longer accept a situation where human rights advocacy is used to deter developing economies from checkmating those who illicitly siphon and smuggle out the continent's vast mineral resources. In response, the UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, emphasized that the UN system is in the process of real reform that will largely address some of the institutional lack of decision-making power for the developing world, on whose behalf more than 75% of UN resources are accrued. One trip, so many opportunities, and typically maximized by President Tinubu.
I'm honored to present the Honorable Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The Chief Marketing Officer of Nigeria saw another platform to project his country's readiness for business as he visited the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotation Stock Markets (NASDAQ) office, an American stock exchange based in New York City. The U.S. Africa Business Center of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce hosted the Nigerian leader.
You are free to take in your money and bring out your money. I count on you to invest in Nigeria.
And here, at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square, the earner does not come any bigger than performing the iconic bell-ringing ceremony.
This is a proud moment for Nigeria, to actually perform the closing bell here at NASDAQ. So we are all very excited, and it is quite an event for us. As we know, there are quite a lot of challenges, that we are facing, and Mr. President is doing a good job in trying to, get investors to come and, support and invest in Nigeria.
The engagement with the world continued for the Nigerian leader as he proceeded to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on November 9, 2023. As the largest Middle Eastern country hosted the first Saudi-Africa summit in a strategic step to unlock potential opportunities of a greater future with Africa, the presence of Africa's largest nation was no doubt considered key to the success of the conference. The summit considered supporting joint action, enhancing political coordination, addressing regional security threats, and facilitating economic transformation through research and local development of new energy solutions, all while bolstering cross-sectoral investment cooperation. Beyond this, and even more fulfilling, was the outcome of President Tinubu's bilateral meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. There, the kingdom indicated interest to invest in several sectors of the Nigerian economy. The prospect included a pledge to invest in the revamping of Nigeria's refineries, to provide financial support to sustain Nigerian government's foreign exchange reforms for improved liquidity, as well as an indication of interest to invest massively in the country's agriculture and renewable sectors. The start of 2024 brought not only fresh opportunities but also unveiled exciting prospects and horizons for the Nigerian leader to explore. The African Union Summit in Addis Ababa presented the first opportunities in the new year, where the Nigerian leader once again participated in the 44th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council, also as a chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government.
Your Excellencies,
he joined other African leaders in high-level meetings on institutional reforms of the African Union, including education, peace and security, climate change, as well as modalities of participation and priorities of the continental body in the G20.
We are doing everything possible, front door, back door diplomacy, to really bring peace and stability and democratic governance to West Africa and to Africa as a whole.
More significant was the recognition of the efforts of President Tinubu's administration on the health sector. The continental body consequently appointed the President a champion for human resources for health and community health delivery partnership.
When the President unveiled his health sector renewal investment initiative that puts improvement of population health outcomes and committed his administration to investing in the human resources that are key to delivering health services, committing us to improve services in the front lines at the community level. That got the attention of the global community, of the African leadership, to see a champion in him, so that the import of the work of his administration here in Nigeria, not only is it resonating with the Nigerian citizenship in terms of the effort to deliver services at the community level, to improve primary health care, but it's serving as a model to other countries in the region and even globally to focus on the lifeblood of the health system, which is the health workforce.
After a trip to Germany on account of an invitation from Chancellor Olaf Scholz, President Tinubu would answer another call of honor to visit the state of Qatar. The grand reception for the Nigerian leader in Doha underscored the value of a state visit. The cavalcade for the ECOWAS chairman to Al-Wajba, the luxury palace of the Emir of Qatar, was indeed royal, as it was presidential. A warm handshake from the Sheikh welcomed the president of the largest black nation into a new era of partnership with the Arab nation. With a trade volume between the two oil giants just about $80 million at the end of 2023, the room for improvement became even wider, and the Emir, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, was interested in further strengthening cooperation between his country and Nigeria. These would include security, cultural exchange, economic development, among others. Here, President Tinubu took along his message of assurances that Nigeria is prepared with necessary reforms to encourage businesses with best return on investments. The bilateral discussion between the two leaders was direct, and so also were the results. 7 agreements were signed, including a cooperation agreement in the field of education, the regulation of employment of workers with the government of Qatar, the establishment of a joint business council between the Qatar Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, in addition to cooperation agreements in the field of youth and sports. Other agreements reached included cooperation in the field of tourism and business events, and a memorandum of understanding on combating illicit trade in narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances.
Your country is a very important country for the whole continent.
Nigeria's image as a promising landscape of potential and opportunities meant that, like a beautiful maiden, it was therefore besieged by numerous ardent suitors, all vying for a hand in marriage. The Netherlands came lurking as Prime Minister Mark Rutte extended an invitation to Nigeria's president to visit his country. It was time to reinforce the long-standing relationship between Nigeria and the Netherlands. President Tinubu arrived to a warm reception, received by his host, Prime Minister Rutte, at the Cat House in The Hague. His foot soldiers came armed to renew and explore possible areas of new collaboration beyond the areas where both countries were already gainfully engaged, such as the petroleum sector. President Tinubu proudly presented the immense opportunities Nigeria offers across a pool of sectors, disclosing that his administration is deepening reforms to enhance the investment climate. But the priority for him here was to open new doors of opportunities, robust, balanced, and mutually beneficial partnerships that will bring about value addition in many areas like agriculture, solid minerals, and technology. His host noted that President Tinubu's economic reforms have engendered greater confidence in the Nigerian economy for international investors, and that Dutch investors have activated another set of $250 million worth of new investments over the next few months, including a $100 million investment in a waste-to-wealth industrial facility in Lagos State.
So that collaboration in terms of reverse technology and several other things is something that we hope to see a lot happen. There is also the collaboration between the Port of Rotterdam, one of the largest, one of the busiest, with Nigeria Ports Authority. We discussed the National Livestock Transformation Plan. They want to improve the breed of our cattle so that they produce more milk, and they are going to be the guaranteed off-takers for the milk that would be produced, that would accrue from that improvement. There was an agreement that we need to have a binational commission, and this is something we also discussed with Mr. President and the Prime Minister. So to formalize the relationship even further so that we'll be able to have more production done in Nigeria in terms of the supply and value chains.
President Tinubu proceeded afterwards to Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, where he participated in the 2024 Special World Economic Forum on Global Collaboration, Growth and Energy for Development. Coming on the heels of his state visit to the Netherlands, the president's voice was resounding on Nigeria's reforms and its effort to further embrace the word.
And I'm glad the kingdom rely on the word collaboration and inclusiveness. The capital formation that is necessary to drive the economy, like agriculture, food security, innovation, technology advancement, must be an inclusive program of the entire world. No one should be left behind.
Right from the outset, the Renewed Hope Crusader believes its 8-point agenda, which begins with the priority to reform the economy to deliver sustained inclusive growth, requires a multifaceted approach. This he has demonstrated with his diplomatic shuttle, traveling along with members of Nigeria's business community to most of the countries he has officially visited. The idea was set in motion in India, where Nigerian investors had an interface with their Indian counterparts in a forum chaired by the chief marketer himself, President Bola Tinubu. With investment in oil and gas, steel, telecommunications among other sectors, Indian companies are no strangers to the Nigerian market. A reassurance from the president's wipes clear all doubt as to the readiness of his administration to ease the process of doing business with a clear promise of mutual benefit for all.
Don't be frightened about investments in Nigeria. Bring it on. Ask your questions. Make your requests. The trade and investment opportunity is enormous. I have a team, and I am the captain of that team. I assure you, we solve problems.
The desire to shore up the Nigeria-India trade volume, which hitherto stood at about $15 billion, had an almost immediate effect as expression of interest trickled in from Indian investors ready to cash in on new opportunities in the Nigerian business environment.
$7 billion plus additional we had done 5, so taking total investment to $12 billion.
The foreign direct investment had dipped, kind of dived, almost non-existent, and a lot of companies were talking about leaving. So it was very important for the president to go around the world to assure investors and other nations of his policies, his programs, his reform, and his vision for revamping the economy. And so this was the major, I think, the major win for us. I mean, the president hit the ground running. We went from country to country, meeting the presidents of those countries, and more importantly, also having business engagements with the business communities. And alongside that, we had the opportunity to start renegotiating our trade agreements, investment agreement, and we've seen an unprecedented amount of interest in renegotiating agreements with Nigeria, or even concluding the ones that we've started and stopped at some point. And it's been amazing. We've seen a return league. We're now seeing improved relationship. And with improved relationship, investment will come, everything, the economy will grow, and we have access to everything that we need.
With the success in India, the business fora also took place in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and in the Netherlands.
We are lucky as a country, and we are lucky as a continent to have President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as our president at this critical time. And his moving around from one country to another country has really showcased who we are, our potentials, and I think in the short period of time, we will start seeing the dividend of all this trip. For us as a businessman, we are able to negotiate. We are being treated with more respect. Anywhere we go, they ask you and say, we didn't know your country has this kind of potentials. And it put us at advantageous position when we are negotiating. With all these trips, we don't really need to explain who we are, where we are coming from.
Within the sub-region, President Bola Tinubu has continued to bolster the position of Nigeria in solidarity with other fellow West African countries. Consistently, he has demonstrated this spirit by attending the 63rd Independence Anniversary Ceremony of Benin Republic, the 50th Independence Anniversary and Armed Forces Day of Guinea-Bissau, the inauguration of Senegal's new president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, and most recently, the investiture of Mohamed Idris Deby Itno as the new Chadian president.
The key takeaway with respect to our reputation in the world since the assumption of office of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that Nigeria means business, literally and figuratively. They recognize that we have a president who means what he says. They watched a presidential candidate campaign on the platform that he would, reform the nation's fuel subsidy regime, which he has done on day one. You'll know that the love for what he's doing and the appreciation for what he's doing is not just something felt by the international investment community, but the domestic investment community fully understand the impact his reforms on their efforts to enhance their business operations.
Policy decisions in motion have been oiled and nurtured toward repositioning Nigeria as a top investment destination on the continent.